Hello and welcome back to Lorehammer. I'm your host Mark, and we're doing the final segmentum number cinco. Joining me this episode is Gerald. Joe.
Why do I get the strange feeling you've just lured me into an episode all by my lonesome?
Yeah, I couldn't watch other men hit on you. I had to have you all to myself, and here we are. And what better way to hit on a guy than talk to him about galactic geography?
Okay, so there was this guy called the Emperor, right? And he
Yeah,
made these 18, 21 sons.
I'm in. I'm fucking in. Son of a bitch, I'm in. Yeah, today we got a fun
It's
episode, the
like
final
it's like
episode
that
where
meme. It's just like, oh no, I was just saying, it's like that meme. It's like, okay, so what is this Warhammer thing all about? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, okay, you can stop. Oh no. Oh no. Oh god. Oh no.
and then 210 episodes later, yikes. But hey man,
We're
it is
still
crazy
talking about it.
how much detail there was. Even going into the Segmentum Pacificus, there's quite a few things I always learn whenever I do a new episode. This one had some fun stuff to it, categorizing each one. You can kind of categorize each segmentum in a very different way, and this one was a very religious segmentum. We'll kind of leave it at that
Hmm.
for the moment. Yeah, they like
Oh
some
my.
some fanatics, perhaps religious fanatics. But yeah, before we get into it, we'll just do some quick housekeeping. Hey, join the Patreon. You can support the show. Join the Imperial Ties. It's cheap. You get ad-free versions for $2.50, and you can get a video version, like you come join the live stream for $5. Hey, Grimaldus, what's going on? Yeah, it's a good time. You can join all the Patreon stuff and get involved with the show and support.
And piggybacking off of the whole live stream video version thing, you join the Patreon to access that. And hey, you get to join the chat room with Mark, myself, and Grubaldus.
Grimaldus and whoever else is lurking in the shadows. Like, I know how many people are watching, but I don't know who. So I always wonder, is it you, my secret stalker, that emails me every day? Maybe. Maybe.
The
Hard to
one
say.
submitting the James complaints.
Could it be the James complainer? Possibly. Possibly. I'll never know. But that's part of the fun. All right.
Always. And if we ever have time, or if we're feeling very spicy, we might just have a call-in guest. So
Yeah, yeah.
lucky you people.
Yeah, exactly. Even if I did drop a link, if you want to join us, there's a link in the show notes. You could hop in, read a segment, bounce out if you want, whatever. Um, it's always fun. All right, well, let's get into it. The final segmentum, the Segmentum Pacificus. And in this episode, we're going to go real quick over the Segmentum Majoris. I just got one more quote that I got to force Gerald to read at gunpoint. That's all, no big deal. Then we'll quickly move into what the Segmentum Pacificus kind of is. It's Segmentum Fortress, it's Battle Fleet. I found some cool different notes on battle fleets while lurking the old information coves. There's a bunch of different types, from anchorage fleets to imperial fleets, bastion fleets, crusading fleets, and just kind of recapping like the last 4 episodes and categorizing. Oh yeah, that was clearly this type of fleet or this type of fleet. And in this episode, we get another type of fleet, but we'll get into all the fleets and flip flops and whatever when we get to that section. We'll talk about the capital system and some defining events in the segmentum, some celestial objects that are floating on by or are lurking permanently. And then finally we just wrap it all up, this little series, just with a quick little recap, kind of a refresher of what was 3 points about each segmentum that you should kind of remember, just for those lore debates that you get into constantly.
All right, no galactic gerrymandering this time around too.
Nope, nope. This section is safe. Although this place has been in quite some turmoil, and maybe they need to do some gerrymandering. I'll tell you why later, but it's only minor, not
Uh,
like the other one.
okay, just a minor nitpick. Well, let's
Exactly.
yeah. Well, I guess before I begin with our lovely little quote, I believe we always got to go back to the map just so our lovely listeners know what we're talking about.
Oh yeah, the
Isn't
black
that beautiful?
void of space.
Isn't that just beautiful? So we are talking about here, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that green
Yep,
area on the map to the west,
Pacificus.
Pacific, past
Oh,
Pacificus.
a wild, wild west.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fun little area.
It
It's
seems like the central area is just kind of void of stuff, but it's like, up, you got stuff here. You got a lot of stuff here.
yeah. I kind of describe this area to myself as like a forgotten segmentum. Um, I'll tell you why though
All
later.
right.
Yeah,
Oh, later.
yeah, we'll get to it.
Keeping us on the edge of our seats here, Mark. Gosh.
I know, I know.
All right, let's round it off with a. I'm pretty sure I've said this quote before. So, well, once more with gusto, they say. To the south, it shall make some segmentum tempestuous, with overlordship residing with the planetary estates of the hereditary Baccha. To the west shall be the segmentum Pacificus, under the auspices of the lords of Hydrafor. Imperial Decree M31, creating the segmente majoris. Abbreviated.
The Lords of Hydrafor. I love all the archaic and like just random titles you can have in 40k. You know, who knows what type of lord that is? Maybe it's an Imperial Night Lord. I don't think so, but there's all types.
Okay. The Segmentum Pacificus. Hush now, old man. You're on TV. For those watching the stream, my 19-year-old Doge here has decided to join us.
Yeah, yeah. Add that to the live
Okay.
stream count.
Mm-hmm. All right. The Segmentum Pacificus stretches across the void west of Holy Terra, a realm of countless battlefields where the Imperium's will is tested without end. At its heart lies Hydrafor, fortress world and bastion of the Imperial Navy, a throne of steel and fire from which fleets surge forth to scour the darkness. This segmentum is forever marked by the indomitable crusade of Lord Commander Solar Macarius, who, with unmatched fury, carried the Aquila to 1,000 forsaken worlds at the rim of the galaxy, forging a legend from blood and flame. This guy is pretty hype, from what I know about him.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The Pacificus is scarred as well by the blasphemies of the Plague of Unbelief, when the apostate Cardinal Bucharest, sought to break the Emperor's dominion in the shadows of Vandire's heresy, only to be cast down by the wrath of loyal blades. It is also remembered as the killing ground of the Sabbat World's crusade, where the Imperium hurled its armies into the abyss to wrench entire sectors back from the talons of chaos, drowning the world after world in fire so that the Emperor's light might burn again.
Yeah. Oh, the Segmentum Pacificus. So it kind of has like this rebellious streak where they kind of turn against the rest of the Imperium and kind of go and do some shenanigans. And then you got to launch a holy crusade and retake it back. Um, since its founding, I feel like this is kind of what happened. We've talked about the galactic map and how it's kind of positioned, and the Pacificus is on the farthest west, and then the Segmentum Sol is off center and still to the west. So basically, when they were expanding, they were going east. And like, yeah, they sent a little bit west, but there wasn't much there. You don't need that much resources. They sent a little bit, and basically they could come back and deal with the Pacificus later, essentially. But
Mm-hmm.
when you leave something alone like that, it becomes a little bit of a breeding ground for like, yeah, chaos or just uprisings or whatever. The forgotten segmentum, they just leave it alone too long, and then all of a sudden they're doing some type of unholy crusade against the Imperium, and then vice versa. Retake it.
It seems like one of those is like, it's so close to home now, we don't got to worry about it then. Oh, shit, did I leave the stove on?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, and then the whole segmentum's burnt down. Oh man, every 1,000 years, goddamn. So the Segmentum Fortress is Hydrafor and the Lords of Hydrafor. So this is a forge world and a bastion world of the Adeptus Mechanicus, anchored in the Segmentum Pacificus on the far west of the galactic plane. Upon its adamantium surface is seated the fortress headquarters of the Navis Imperialis, where countless fleets gather in the Segmentum Fortress itself, the mailed fist of the Emperor. From this noble bloodline are drawn generations of naval officers and rogue trader dynasties, families sworn to the stars in the Emperor's endless wars. The presence of these dynasties has twisted Hydrafor into a crucible of interest of industry and intrigue, its manufactor and void docks churning in unending labor. Wealth is power, and oaths are bound in steel and blood alike. The Hydrophorian custom is to carry two names, one of a clan forged in commerce and war, and one of a family sworn to a bloodline and heritage, each a chain binding the bearer to duty, profit, and faith. Already, this place is fucking kind of cool. Very different than the rest of the Imperium. Like, they're kind of really
Mm-hmm.
like the wealth implies something else. Like, you don't really get like wealth in other places than the Imperium, or like money, or even like they're usually kind of communistic more so than capitalistic, you know?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm trying to find it on our map. I'm a little bit illiterate with this right now.
That's so funny. This whole time you've been
So
searching. I like it.
yeah.
Well, this
Yep.
is why we're having this lesson for you. So maybe at the end we'll dial in those speed times. But
Yeah. Oh
beyond the
well.
Navy's shadow, the ecclesiarchy and the machine cult maintain their grip, ensuring neither the flesh nor the soul of Hydrafer drifts from the Emperor's light. Imperial justice is meted by the arbiters of iron and fire, and rebellion is buried beneath stone and silence. Yet power on Hydrafer festers with hidden blades. The so-called governor is a hollow throne, his world drowned beneath the voices of great families whose fleets and fortunes span the stars. The void above belongs to the Navy, but the hand is severed from the planetary rule. For their shame in the heresies of the age of apostasy has never been forgiven. More about the age of apostasy later this episode. And we did a whole episode on it too, but they had a part in it.
Oh yeah. I always like shilling back to, older content and older material.
Yeah. Go have a listen. You might even be able to see the video now that I've uploaded all the video on Spotify. That's been fun to do. But anyways, in the wake of that cursed age, the Ministorum enforces piety with sermons of fire, binding the people's souls to the God Emperor. But its priests are despised as meddling zealots by officers of the fleet, who in turn are judged with suspicion and distrust. Thus, Hydrafer remains a world where faith and duty clash in endless rivalry, each faction ever watching, each hand ever ready to strike, yet all bound in service to the Emperor's eternal war. Yeah,
For in the
like
grim darkness of the 41st millennium, there is only war.
exactly. Like and I think the Segmentum Pacificus kind of internalizes that war where there's been civil wars like the Horus Heresy, obviously, but that was very different. Like, they went
Oh,
very different routes. Like, that was not a civil war. That was like full on rebellion. There was no hope for unity at the end of it. Where with the Segmentus Pacificus and all their little rebellions, it always seems maybe like a matter of different faith, where it's like the God Emperor only lets you eat on Wednesday, and then the other guy's like, no, I am the God Emperor and I only let you eat on Wednesday. And like, well, that's kind of right, but it's also heresy, and it's little things like that, as opposed to big heresies, just minor heresy. Yeah.
sorry about that. I was disciplining a heretical doge. Okay. All right. All right. Rebellion has stopped for now. So, history of Hydrafer. The plague of unbelief. I believe I talked about this in my last Segmentum episode too. During the plague of unbelief in the 36th millennium, Hydrafer bent the knee to the apostate Cardinal Bucharest, a wound of dishonor that sears its memory even now. When the world was scourged clean and reclaimed by the Imperium's wrath, Ecclesiarch Kai Balronus decreed a festival of penitence, where fasting and prayer scour the guilt of generations in ceaseless acts of sorrow and obedience. Really? You gonna interrupt my sermon right now?
Hey, he's preaching the good word of 40K, dog. Don't make me
Sister,
servitize you.
Sister Battle, put him in the penitent engine. The shadow of Hydrafer's betrayal brought punishment beyond ritual. The Administratum sought to break the stranglehold of the Navy, for though Battlefleet Pacificus bled from Hydrafer's veins, its power was deemed too vast. The Inquisition and the Ecclesiarchy were granted dominion beside beside the Mechanicus, while the hereditary holdings of the great naval families were torn from their grasp. Yet the knife cut poorly. Though the Ministorum and Administratum claimed the throne upon Hydrafor's soil, the Navy drew chains across the void instead, choking the wider system and its subsectors with iron rule. Ecclesiarchal outposts were strangled of communication, their words forced into secrecy. Meanwhile, the Navy wove its fate with mercantile dynasties and rogue trader clans until trade and blood became one, a syndicate of oaths sealed in steel and fire. Give me just 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, that's some yeah, that's a rebellion. They're just like, yeah, we'll join. We'll help a little bit. Whatever. It went sour for them, but they went all the way to Terra with this plague of unbelief, the age of apostasy. You know, they
Mm-hmm.
took a lot of planets with them and then kind of dialed it all back.
They made it pretty far.
Yeah.
And then between that and then the whole Gene Stealer thing on Terra, like, and I think it was Watchers of the Throne, that series. I could
Yeah,
be
yeah.
wrong. Maybe Terra's not as well defended as what people think.
Yeah, people keep getting there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how do you blockade a planet, man? It's easy to sneak in. Hello.
Mm-hmm. But we also have the Great Rift to worry about too. In the wake of the Great Rift, ruin came anew. The Black Legion fell upon Hydrafor in a storm of heretic blades, and the Imperium mustered every force it could spare, even the golden wardens of the Adeptus Custodes. Against endless waves of traitor Astartes, the custodians stood immovable, their Aramite armor gleaming as the wall upon the black tide broke again and again until the ground itself was slick with corpses. And still the assault did not end. In the opening years of the Indomitus Crusade, Hydrafor was struck 3 times by the host of chaos. Not once, not twice, 3 times.
Trace.
Each assault a storm of fire and blasphemy, each repelled by blood and sacrifice of those who refused to let the Emperor's bastion fall. Forget Cadia stands, Hydrafor stands. Come on,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, pretty cool. But yeah, they had some redemption arc there that they really had to get on, so they hopped on it. Yeah, it'd
Always like me a good redemption arc.
be a cool battle there with the custodes getting involved and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you don't often see them out and about very often, but they're on some places.
Whenever they show up, it's just an Imperial victory. Even if they lose, it's still an Imperial victory.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, we meant to yeah, I know. Yeah. Um, Up next, we got the Battlefleet Pacificus. I couldn't find that much information on this battle fleet, where the other ones had some cool specialized ships and stuff. This one just seemed kind of standard. But here's a nice little quote. If the Adeptus Astartes are the Emperor's wrath, and the Imperial God are his hammer, then his holy navy is his mighty shield. And that's Cardinal Gregor Hestor. Across the worlds of the Imperium, the Navis Imperialis is venerated as the Holy Fleet, a war host of iron and fire consecrated to the God Emperor. The Ecclesiarchy proclaims each vessel and crew a weapon of his divine will, sanctified by the guiding light of the Astronomicon, the eternal beacon of the Golden Throne. To sail beneath its radiance is to serve as the Emperor's blade in the night. Whether this consecration extends to every vessel borne by navigator's sight is uncertain, though unlikely. The Mechanicus, for their part, revere the ships as relics and shrines of steel, each engine a weapon enshrined with litanies of praise, rites of awakening. To them, the sanctity lies not in the Emperor's light alone, but in the eternal machine spirits bound in the adamantium hulls. Yeah, like these ships are these like relics. Like they're how do you even build something to that scale? But they manage. How do they maneuver? How did everything work? Like how do you have engines that
Mm-hmm.
move that? All that kind of shenanigans. How does the metal not just crush itself under its own weight?
For real.
They're marvels of engineering, and they are to be worshipped as such.
Absolutely. Blessed be the Omnissiah.
Yeah. It's fun. Like when I was reading about the fleet, like it's a very religious tone. Everything I was reading about the Segmentum Pacificus, it just has that religious tone to it, more than the other ones do.
Which is kind of crazy because like they're all kind of like that, but for this to be more so, yeah.
Like noticeably dialed up. I felt like where it was always quotes are always cardinals. Yeah. So this is where I stumbled on. I was trying to find some more information on the battle fleet Pacificus, but then I stumbled across anchor battle fleets or segmentum battle fleets. Pretty
Hmm,
obvious.
interesting.
Imperial battle fleets or sector battle fleets, bastion fleets, crusade fleets, merchant fleets. All these different types of fleets I kind of knew existed, but also I had no idea they had so much information. So I kind of did a quick summary on each one, but honestly, like we got to do a fleet episode, man. There's enough information on these alone, let alone going into different flagships and blah de blah.
Hmm. In the Navy.
In the Navy, yeah, man. We should all aspire to join the Imperial Navy. I think the first
outside of like
type.
the outside of like the void battles, the Imperial Navy does sound pretty dope.
Yeah. Well, even the void battles would be kind of fun, I think. Like, okay,
Hmm.
so your ship gets hit with a torpedo and you get wrenched out into space, but like it's so quick and you get mulched into goo while it happens, because you get bashed through the hull. I think it'd be fine.
Yeah, yeah. Being
I
better
think,
than anything you could say about the Imperial Guard on the ground.
yeah, fuck. So the first type of fleet that I mentioned was the anchorage fleet or segmentum battle fleet. Born after the Imperium had already conquered much of the galaxy in the Emperor's name, the Great Fleet anchorages, vast Imperialis' armada bases established alongside the Empire's outer borders, surveyed as the Imperium's bulwark against the darkness beyond. Each segmentum majoris possessed at least one such anchorage, immense military ports second only to Terra itself, functioning as hubs of supply, command, and defense. From these stations sailed armadas and cruisers, battleships and escorts, such as those of the famed Port Ma Armada, fleets built to patrol the void, crush rebellions, repel xenos and heretics alike, staffed by human cohorts of the Imperialix Auxilia, and commanded by the Grand Admirals who answered directly to the Council of Terra. These defensive forces were disciplined, loyal, and vigilant, standing in contrast to the expeditionary fleets of the Great Crusade. Even during the Horus Heresy, most remained steadfast, their loyalty broken only by isolated acts of corruption or mutiny. In their iron resolve and unyielding service, the Anchorage war fleets embody the Imperium's enduring will, an eternal wall of steel and fire guarding humanity's fragile dominion in the stars. Yeah, man,
Based.
cool. We've been talking about the segmentum fortresses and how they're usually these vast um, fleet construction forge worlds essentially where they'll have like a ring around them that's just pumping out ships, man. And if you go back
Mhm.
old in the lore, yeah, they're only pumping out 3 battle cruisers, because they're epic sounding and everything's kind of dialed up. But like in reality, yeah, they're pumping out lots of ships always, man, always.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe for like every one huge battle cruiser, they're gonna have like thousands of like frigates or like escort vessels. So,
Sure. Yeah. So those are pretty obvious. This type of fleet, we can allot them going back in our episodes very easily. Ultramar is now an Anchorage fleet. Um, Cadia, was that what we determined? Well, whatever. Go back and you can do the math yourself.
let me just share this tab real quick and focus on.
Yeah,
Where'd the picture go?
look at the scale of that bad boy.
I got it. There it is. Okay. See full size image. Boom. Here we go. All right. Share tab.
Now we're talking.
Booyah.
Yeah, we got pulled up different strike cruisers, battle barges, frigates, all types of different 40K ships here, and their scales.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. 5 kilometers long.
Nice. Um,
Glorious.
glorious. Yeah, just imagine that rolling up on your planet and orbital bombarding the shit out of you. Yeah, for the Emperor!
I do consign these millions of souls to death in the name of exterminatus.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Lupical says, if I remember correctly, each battleship will have up to 20 line ships as their joint fleet, and each one of those will have 1 to 7 escorts. Yeah, like
Sounds
I
about right.
remember kind of reading that too and going through all these different fleets. Like there was a lot of information on them. I tried to condense it, but that's cool to know. About 20 line ships and 1 to 7 escorts. And arc mechanicum ships can go up to 70 kilometers.
That's just
Neat.
like that's just like stupid big.
Yeah. Then there's the starports, and there's the one starfall that has like a 20-mile or kilometer statue on it or something like that. I forget the number, but yeah, fucking
I
tight.
mean, yeah, 40K rookie numbers. Come on, we always got to beat. We always got to beat it.
Yeah.
So from Anchorage fleets and Segmentum battle fleets, we also have the Imperial battle fleets or sector battle fleets. Each sector battle fleet is a wall of iron and fire, mustering 50 to 75 cruisers and battleships consecrated to the Emperor, escorted by countless smaller craft and supported by transports, couriers, and patrol vessels that maintain the Imperium's unyielding vigil. Ever in motion, these fleets scour the void of pirates, protect trade routes, ferry the Astra Militarum to war, escort Mechanicus explorers, and unleash orbital vengeance upon the Emperor's foes. Again, I love me a good, just solid las battery. Their strength is divided into battle groups, spearheads of cruisers and escorts that combine when greater threats arise, converging in unstoppable force. Some battle fleets are bound to vital warfronts or sacred regions. Battlefleet Armageddon once stood watch over its subsector with 4 battleships, 27 cruisers, and 36 escort squadrons before the Third War's Inferno, while Battlefleet Solar guards Terra and Mars themselves, the twin hearts of humanity for which no sacrifice is too great.
Ooh. Yeah, there's some numbers there. Numbers are fun in 40K. You can take them as you will.
Mm-hmm.
But there they are. Yeah, these ones are easy to categorize too. These sector battle fleets, the Imperial battle fleets, are almost innumerable because there's so many different sectors. And they're gonna vary greatly as well, depending on location and resources and all that kind of stuff. The next fleet we have is the Bastion fleets. Across the Segmentum Obscurus and others, the Forge of War has shaped its fleet into distinct yet united instruments of the Emperor's will. Battlefleet Gothic stands beside Tamhel, Odessia, Cadia, Agrippa, Sicarius, yeah, okay. Corona, each a weapon honed by its own trials, some heavy with warships, others swift with escorts, all forged by necessity. The bastion fleets of Cadia, Agrippa, Sicarius, and Corona guard the Eye of Terra and the Rift of Madness where chaos claws at reality, their iron prows forever breaking the tides of raiders and demons. When the Black Crusades rise, these fleets converge as burning stars of defiance, hurling the full fury of the Imperium into the abyss to hold the line and ensure humanity endures another day beneath the Emperor's light. Bastion fleets. So yeah, that's a great example of a bastion fleet where, Cadia is protecting the Eye of Terror and you just have a fleet there, man. You just need a fleet there. It's a big fortress. So another good example
Mm-hmm.
would be like pre redrawing of Ultramar, where now with the Great Rift, Ultramar becomes a Segmentum fortress. Otherwise, it would have been a Bastion fleet. I think it's a defendable place and all that kind of stuff. So you can kind of categorize these fleets and which planet has what. But those are some good examples of them. The next one is a Crusade fleet. Deus Volt for those in the back, and yeah, man, these ones are pretty easy, pretty self-explanatory. You get a bunch of your boys together, and you go Crusade. Yeah, An Imperial Crusade fleet is a vast storm of conquest and reclamation. When the Imperium fleets are unleashed to the seas or redeem worlds, sectors, or entire regions in the Emperor's name. These leviathans of war unite warships, transports, and escorts into chains of campaigns where void battles decide the fate of stars and orbital fire scours heresy from the worlds below. The first and greatest was the Emperor's own Great Crusade, whose 2-century tide forged the Imperium itself. Most crusades marshaled the combined might of the Imperial Navy, Astra Militarum, and the Astartes under the command of admirals, war masters, or Lord General Militant, sanctioned only by the High Lords of Terror or the Lord Commander. Some are galaxy-spanning purges, other brief but sacred wars fought for a single world or warplane, each deemed holy by decree. By binding the Navy and the Astartes in shared purpose, crusades echo the unity of the ancient legions, allowing the Imperium to strike swiftly when dire need arises. Whether against alien empires, rebellious governors, or the corrupted void holds where redemption is written in fire. If we're calling the God Emperor, you gotta follow his example and launch your own crusade. But they have to be sanctioned, mind you. But I
Mm-hmm.
do like you say the Lord's Prayer and you do the Emperor's Crusade.
Yep.
All your bases will
Deus
be
Vult
covered.
Infidel.
Yeah. I like this. We got other examples too. The biggest one I think would my mind would be like Reboot Gilliman and the Indomitus Crusade, where once again you're kind of retaking or you're conquering a
Mm-hmm.
bunch. Like it's a very kind of like we're doing this type mentality. There's nothing stopping these
Mm-hmm.
crusades. They're happening. They're holy. They're divinely appointed.
I've heard a number of people like almost liken it to like the Great Crusade Part 2, and which showcases, I guess, how pretty based Gilliman actually is. If he's able to basically do a Great Crusade Part 2 by himself without his dad or his brothers.
Yeah, hey, that's a good point. Yeah, fuck. You got a little bit of a starting spot. Not every planet had to take, but still, pretty good job. Pretty bang up job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
I dunk on the Ultramarines all the time, but Gilliman is pretty darn cool. So
they got great armor. I'll give them that too.
yeah,
James Berger, his comment says, or just be like the Black Templars and just name a crusade wherever they're going. Yeah, take the
love
crusade with
this.
you. Don't
Mm-hmm.
leave it at home. You got to share the crusade. So those were kind of the 4 primary types, and as you can see, they were all very war, expansion kind of, or defense oriented. The final one is the merchant fleets, and we've talked about cold trade briefly. We've talked about rogue traders very briefly, but merchant fleets are its own big category of operations.
Yeah, and with the whole thing about merchant fleets, well, let's just go over that part of the notes. Actually, the merchant fleets of the Imperium form the commercial backbone of its vast void-born empire, comprising nearly 90% of all human starships and commanded by Chartist captains who hold sacred merchant charters, anchored to the 5 Segmentae Majoris and governed from colossal Segmentum fortresses, such as Mars in the Solar Segmentum and Ciprimundi in Obscurus. These fleets operate from immense orbital citadels that oversee the Imperium's trade and enforce its laws across the stars. Though only a fraction of vessels ever reach these fortresses, the majority sail the endless void bearing goods, resources, and lifeblood between millions of worlds. Bound by oath and decree, the Chartist captains serve the Emperor's will as faithfully as any soldier, wielding commerce itself as a weapon of unity and control, ensuring the Imperium endures through trade as surely as it does through war.
Yeah, nice. You don't hear about that aspect very often of like,
Mm-mm.
yeah, you could just starve a planet off from resources or make trade deals, launch some tariffs on them, and all of a sudden you could be the 51st. You just watch out.
Mm-hmm.
Like the merchant fleets are cool, man. I really want to go into more of the cold trade and the rogue traders, but we just haven't got there yet.
Those two are definitely deserving of their own episodes, especially rogue traders.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's one of the first things almost like people get introduced with in 40K. Maybe that's just an assumption. Like obviously, yeah, you see Space Marines first, but then I feel like people always drift to Rogue Traders. It seems like most people are like, I don't know.
Well, isn't it the namesake of like the magazine or like when 40K first got started?
Yeah,
Is
and maybe that helps a lot for sure. The first edition was Rogue Trader for sure, but yeah,
mm-hmm.
one day.
I think
They're a good episode.
I think also like the appeal of like they're one of the few people in the galaxy to have like pretty much the freedom to do whatever they want within reason.
Yeah, I guess like yeah, they're one of the few peoples in 40K where you're like, maybe I could live that life. Maybe I do want to be that guy.
Mm-hmm. So,
All right, so now we will go to the capital sector, and it is Macaria. Macaria, once known as Dania, stands as one of the holiest shrine worlds of the Segmentum Pacificus, sanctified as the birthplace of Lord Commander Solar Macarius. From its marble-clad surface, the greatest general of the Imperium since the Great Crusade rallied his hosts and war fleets, and from orbit above his world, the Macarian Crusade was launched. The planet was renamed many times in its storied history: the Emperor's Gift, Emperor's Glory, but in death it took the name of its conqueror, Macaria, and became his resting place. To this day, the relics and spoils of his vast campaigns have made Macaria a jewel of unimaginable wealth, its vaults and shrines brimming with treasures seized from the edge of the galaxy. The warp itself bends strangely around Macaria, allowing passage with an ease that Imperial scholars cannot explain. The ecclesiarchy proclaims this a miracle, proof of Macarius' sainthood and the Emperor's divine favor upon his chosen servant. From orbit, pilgrims and fleet officers alike gaze down upon the world of radiant marble spires, shrines so vast they can be seen from space, and processions of faithful stretching for miles. Yet beneath these shrine temples lied the so-called shame of Macaria, the festering underbelly of beggars, zealots, and the forgotten poor. Oh, those forgotten poor! Um,
mm.
being poor is not a sin, but being a beggar is fucking annoying. So yeah, shame of Macaria. The Fraternus Militara, keep them in the brutal check, for this world is too sacred to fall into the shadows. Nice. When the Noctis Eterna swallowed the Astronomicon, the fleets of the Imperium faltered. Macaria became a prison for its million pilgrims who could no longer depart its ports. Camps spread across the shrines, desperation brewed, and psychers arose in terrifying numbers. It was then that Cardinal Nullis Reign proclaimed these unfortunates as the chosen vessels of the Emperor, before himself revealing powers that he claimed were divine. His Reich, yeah, see, this was what I'm saying. They're always like, yeah, the Emperor's cool, but I'm also a god, maybe, and I have his power just a little bit, maybe. His rise shattered the unity of Macaria, plunging the shrine world into holy war. The Adeptus Astartes and the Arch-Cardinal Molinaire cast him as a heretic, and the forces of chaos answered his call. Reign's rebellion burned until his vanished into the void, leaving Macaria scarred but unbroken. Its faith in the Emperor now tied inextricably to the memory of Lord Solar Macarius and the fleets that once departed from its skies bring new worlds into the Imperium's fold. Yeah, pretty cool place. I love these big shrine worlds. Like almost like nothing is more 40K than these gothic holy shrine worlds where it's like palaces built miles into the sky. Like they stripped mine
mm-hmm.
entire worlds just to move enough marble and gold to like line the walls of the floors and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Never.
Oh, I was gonna say it kind of makes me think of that scene from Thor Ragnarok where the main bad guy Hela comes back to Asgard, and then she goes, "Where do you think all this gold came from? We were at war."
Looting and pillaging and a little bit of other things. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, what a world this is. They got a bunch of locations here too for this world. Maybe I'll just pick out a couple that I thought were kind of interesting. They have a lot, and Lord Solar Macarius, he's a very interesting character that needs his own episode. And when you do that, you got to talk about his home world and his final
Hmm.
resting place.
And that's this
But
guy right here, actually, from like
yeah,
a very popular image that a lot of people associate, especially with the Imperial Guard.
yeah, like in 40K is a lot of propaganda in universe, but for once, like the propaganda is true. Like this guy claimed, like, man, I think it was in 7 years, 1,000 worlds or something like that. Like it was under 10 years, 1,000 worlds.
Where was he during the Great Crusade?
Yeah. Okay, so a couple highlights. I do like the Tome of Macarius because it's a continent-sized mausoleum, marking the final
Beautiful.
resting place of Lord Solar Macarius. Yeah, just a continent-sized tomb, man.
I mean, it for 40K it tracks. For 40K it tracks.
Yeah. A couple other interesting spots were the Solar Torch, and that's an order hospitalier facility for serving the emperor through martial and medical devotion. Those are guys, or those are females that like join the Medicae. Essentially, they're healers and surgeons and all that kind of stuff.
That's an offshoot of the Sororitas, right? I think.
Yeah, it's technically a part of it. It's just a non-militant branch.
Oh, yeah, okay. It says right here in the notes. Duh. If I can read your old gosh.
Well, great question. And the other one that I like for this location is the Solar Quill because it's another non-militant branch, an order dialogus institution for the study and preservation of Imperial lore. Um, yeah, so just kind of another little area. It is a big mausoleum, a big shrine world, but you do got some organizations that call their home here as well.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
honestly pretty cool stuff. Like, it fleshes, feel like it fleshes things out just a little bit more as opposed to, this is the tomb of Macarius, an entire continent devoted to one person.
Yeah. Well, they
You
also
know.
got the Schola Pagena of our
Mm-hmm.
Lord Solar, so if you want to, have the best tutelage, teach his doctrine, you go there. They got some cool stuff. I like this planet too, that it has that stable warplane too, that really kind of makes it this like, yeah, it's a pilgrimage, and yeah, usually pilgrimages are like a challenge to get to or some like
Mm-hmm.
rigorous journey, but like here it's like, no, like this is like almost like a place of rest and like um healing a little bit and like just, yeah, a place of calm and peace in a turbulent place.
Yeah, I think you mentioned earlier in the notes that like the warp travel is relatively calm compared to everywhere else. So, you're in
Lucky duck.
comparison.
Lucky ducks.
Yeah.
So some segmentum defining events. There are three big events that happen in the segmentum. The Age of Apostasy, as we mentioned. The Macarius Crusade, which we kind of mentioned with Lord Solar Macarius there. And the Sabbat World Crusade, which if I didn't mention, I feel like people would yell at me because of just, we'll get into it. Just who's there and what's happening and all that kind of stuff. But let me give you a little recap on the Age of Apostasy and what kind of really marked this segmentum as its own kind of weird branch of yeah, that's the picture of its own weird branch of religious zealotry. That is the picture, Gerald.
For those not know, this is supposedly Goge Van Dyer himself. So,
Nice. The Age of Apostasy, spanning much of the 36th millennium, stands as one of the most tumultuous and blood-soaked epochs of the Imperium's history. Born from a bitter power struggle between the ecclesiarchy and the administratum, this era saw the rise of Goge Van Dyer, a high lord of terror who seized control of both the Imperium bureaucracy and the state religion. His reign, known as the Reign of Blood, was marked by widespread corruption, heresy, and brutal suppression of dissent. Under Van Dyer's tyrannical rule, the Imperium was plunged into a civil war that threatened its very foundation. Van Dyer's ascent was facilitated by a series of political machinations, including the assassination of his predecessor and the manipulation of the ecclesiarchal appointments. Once in power, he consolidated his authority by forming the elite military forces of the Fraternus Templar and declaring himself the Emperor's voice on Terra. His reign was categorized by purges, forced conversions, and the establishment of brutal theocracy that alienated many of the Imperium's institutions, including the Adeptus Astartes and the Adeptus Mechanicus. This is always interesting. The Adeptus Mechanicus, the Adeptus Astartes, like we picture them as like religious zealots, but most of them don't believe the Emperor is actually a god. Like yeah, they'll worship him as like a man and like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like there's religious and yeah, you might pray to him and there's all the chants and all that kind of stuff. But when you ask him like, is he a divine god being? The answer is probably no.
Black Templars accepted, of course.
Yeah, there's always the
They're,
exception.
they are their own breed of you know.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and you'll find religious zealots in everywhere, in every organization. But yeah, typically, yeah, it's this weird thing. You picture them as these warrior monks, but really they're more just warriors who sometimes yell monk-like things.
Mm-hmm. It's like a because it's like you do something so often over a period of thousands of years, and it in and of itself almost just becomes like a ritual.
Yeah.
Like that
Mm.
Mechanicus joke I made a long time ago about like a dude, like all the buttons on a panel were basically just like faded away, but the dude knew the exact sequence and treated it like a ritual. So
Yeah, that's a great example of how Astartes are like, yeah, almost more like repetition, and with that brings like a little bit of loss of knowledge and a little bit of like intrigue and mystery, and then it builds that kind of like religious aspect that is so strong in the Astartes, but ultimately is not fully there.
mm-hmm.
The turning point came when Vandire's own creation, the Daughters of the Emperor, led by Alicia Dominique, turned against him. After being shown the truth of Vandire's corruption, they assassinated him, ending the reign of blood. This act of defiance led the formation of the Adeptus Astartes, the militant arm of the Ecclesiarchy, and the Ordo Hereticus of the Inquisition, tasked with rooting out heresy within the Imperium. Despite Vandire's death, the aftermath of his reign left deep scars. The Ecclesiarchy's move to Ophelia in this subsequent return to Terra during the reign of Ecclesiarch Gregor the Ninth or the 11th marked the period of rebuilding. However, the plague of unbelief, a resurgence of heretical movements continued to plague the Imperium, leading to further conflicts and purges. The age of apostasy ultimately culminated in the Age of Redemption, a period of reform and reassertion of imperial authority. The Age of Apostasy serves as a grim reminder that the fragility of the Imperium's institutions and the ever present threat of corruption from within. It underscores the necessity of vigilance and the constant battle to maintain the Emperor's will against the forces of heresy and ambition. The lessons of this dark age continue to resonate, shaping the Imperium's ongoing struggle for survival. Yeah, it's like I was saying, man. It's just if you turn kind of away from things and you're kind of not watching it, that's when things can fester and grow. And even though there's not a lot of aliens in this area, even though there's not a lot of warp storms in this area, it still will happen.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Um,
all it takes is like just that little bit of dissatisfaction with your lot in Imperial life.
man,
So
I hear like crazy numbers. Like most revolutions are like fought by like 3% or something. Quotes along those lines. Where, like you said, yeah, you don't need a lot of dissatisfied people to bring a whole system crashing to the ground.
mm-hmm. Someone I think pointed out in like Roman history. So shout out to Christian for being the history buff. But I think Roman was like I'm trying to get my thoughts together on this, but Roman had its own pantheon for thousands of years, maybe about 1,000 years or so. Then along comes Christianity, and in a mere like 50, 60, 70 years, the whole thing just comes toppling down. So in the
That's
grand
quick.
scheme of things, so that's all it took.
Yeah,
And
not
they were like a
much.
minority in the Roman Empire too at that time.
Yeah, like it's disturbing. My brother, he's a mechanic, and he always says this: "Don't worry about the robot uprising. Like you, machines are so fragile, man. You pop one cog, you break one wire, the whole machine's messed up." And like, yeah, yeah, doesn't take
Yeah.
much.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to launch
Now
a
we know.
crusade.
Yep. And now we know what to do when the Men of Iron attack. So good job. Good job, Mark's brother.
Yeah, mess them up.
Let's see here. Okay, so the Macarius Crusade, another fun event. So let me pull up this lovely image again, since that is quite relevant. The Macarian Crusade, 392 to 399 M41. So yeah, about 7 years. Was a 7-year tide of fire and steel, an imperial campaign led by Lord Commander Solar Macarius. It struck across the far western edge of the galaxy through the Segmentum Pacificus and into the Halo Zone. Not the video game Halo. Sorry to disappoint, folks. Nearly 1,000 worlds were reclaimed or brought into the Emperor's light, marking it as one of the most resounding crusades in Imperial history. It began upon Donia, later sanctified as the shrine world Macaria, where Macarius was born and forged in the fires of war. At that time, the Imperium staggered beneath the internal strife and civil war in Segmentum Solar, and Macarius' early career was spent crushing rebellious warlords, and fractious factions. That's a little bit of a tongue twister. Some of whom he would bend to his cause and later elevate as commanders of his Grand Crusade. Rising to the rank of Lord Commander Solar, he petitioned the High Lords of Terra for a campaign of conquest and unparalleled since the Emperor's own Great Crusade. They granted it, placing the full might of the Astra Militarum at his command. And that's kind of mind-boggling. Like, Lord
Yeah,
Solar, you were in control of the entire Astra Militarum.
trillions of people.
Trillions.
We can't count that number. We actually don't have a number of how many people you have at your
Mm-hmm.
command right now.
I,
Yeah.
I I don't I don't think I can count that high, honestly. Macarius divided his forces into 7 titanic army groups, leading the first himself. He marshaled his legions on Donia and formed the orbiting warships above the Crusade's fleet poured into the void, setting their prows for worlds as far as the galactic rim, beyond even the light of the Astronomicon. Countless planets had been lost in the chaos of the age of apostasy, their populations abandoned to lawlessness, and all were brought beneath the Emperor's dominion once more by the unyielding force of the Macarius' legion and the holy fire of his fleets. After Macarius' death, the vast conquests he carved from the void unraveled. The newly forged domains fell into a brutal 70-year conflict known as the Macarian Heresy.
That sucks. You spend 7 years doing something really cool and then 70 years undoing it all.
I now understand why this guy is nicknamed Space Alexander the Swell for this exact reason.
Yeah. You know, 40K is known for their historical knockoffs, and this guy is fucking bang on.
Yeah, pretty bang on there. In the decades and centuries that followed, many of the reclaimed worlds were once again lost, either through rebellion or total devastation, leaving behind scorched monuments to the glory and impermanence of even the greatest of Imperial crusades.
Fuck.
Sometimes
Imperial victory.
sometimes you can just do everything right and it still all goes to shit.
Yeah, fuck. Ain't that way
Yep.
she goes. Yeah, cool
Yeah.
story though. He has a great model. Like it's an old model. Like I don't know if you'd ever be able to find it nowadays. It doesn't have rules or anything, but um,
Yeah,
yeah,
here's a
man,
picture of the model, I think. That's the guy.
that is, yeah, he's classic, man. I've seen some conversions where people toss on some sanguinary priest wings and all that kind of stuff, give him the angel wings and make him a little more heroic and
Mm-hmm.
upscaled. But yeah, very cool guy.
I'm sure you can get like a sculptor to do like a updated third party model and all that stuff. Sculpt your own stuff, everybody.
Yeah.
create your own design, print your own stuff
Yeah,
for
yeah,
those that are.
I'm not afraid of Lorehammer Legal. I'll say steal from GW. I don't care. Break into their stores. They're only manned by fat nerds and long skinnies. Like you could beat them up, take all the Warhammers. No big deal. It's not a big deal.
Oh.
Um, tell me about the Sabbat worlds.
So got a little bit of
We
an honorable mention here.
yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. Have you read Gaunt's Ghost? I believe is kind of set in the Sabbat worlds.
No, but I hear that's like if you are into the Astra Militarum, that is one of like the Astra Militarum books or
Yeah,
series of books to read. Even though I think it is a little bit on the older side, uh, like what 10 years or something like that.
older than that, man. We're talking easy 20.
Oh, oh,
When
okay,
they
yeah,
start. Like, yeah, some old
yeah.
books, but like you said, they're solid. Like they're solid books for sure.
Mm-hmm. Like Gaunt's Ghost, Tanith First and Only, Caiaphas Cain, like all those are like the seminal Imperial Guard books
Yeah.
for those fans. And the Siege of Rax if you like Krieg. So the Sabbat World sector, located along the rimward edge of the Segmentum Pacificus, was first annexed for Imperial colonization in the 35th millennium. Comprising more than 100 human inhabited star systems, it included notable subsectors such as the Newfound Trailing, the Cabal systems, and the Irenaeus group. It was here that Saint Sabbat, a child of Hagia who claimed divine inspiration from the emperor, led a century-long crusade to bring the region of the Imperium into the Imperium's light. Her campaign united the stars beneath imperial rule, establishing vast populations, prosperous trade, and formidable defenses that made the sector a beacon of faith and order among the Rim. Yet peace was fleeting, as is always with 40k. The Sabbat worlds lay exposed to the perils of the frontier, chaos incursion, xenos raids, and internal rebellion. Across the 38th and 39th millennia, the sector endured waves of brutal warfare against chaos worshipping tribes from the sanguinary worlds, leading words are hard tonight. Leading the
Yeah.
administratum to brand it a troublesome province. I love that. I love that wording.
Yeah. Yeah.
Imperial propaganda is great. This, this fragile stability finally collapsed in the early 41st millennium when a powerful Archon of Chaos emerged, uniting the Rimward warbands under one bloody banner. His campaign, known as the Sabbat Incursions, sought to reclaim the territories once taken by Saint Sabbat and drown them again in the worship of the dark gods. The Imperial response was fierce but fractured. With Segmentum Pacificus already fighting multiple fronts, entire regions were abandoned to reinforce others. Despite desperate resistance, the Archon's legions proved unstoppable, and world after world fell to chaos. By 740 M41, the Sabbat worlds were declared lost, their governance suspended, and their names struck from Imperial ledgers. Once a testament to the Emperor's light, the sector had become a corrupted dominion of the ruinous powers, a scar upon the western frontier of the Imperium.
I think that last
Oof.
little bit is pretty recent lore updates. You know, when they ripped the galaxy, they added a little bit for some spots. I'd be curious to know if, like, yeah, that happened because of that, or if that happened in one of the Gaunt's Ghost books. Like, how active is this region? Like, because I thought they're still writing those books and stuff, but maybe I'm wrong.
I I'm not entirely sure, to be honest.
James complains to me if you don't like what I'm saying, and lorehammerpodcast at gmail.com if you want to explain what I don't know. Yeah, inform me.
If you'd like to send us an actually subject headline
Actually,
email,
it's not
feel free.
Gaunt. It's Ibram Gaunt. Okay, Mark. Okay. Yeah, go check it out. There's a whole lot there. Honestly, like I opened up that tab accidentally and I was like, oh god damn, it's not one episode, it's fucking 50. You could spend a long time in the Sabbath worlds, man.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll jump to some notable celestial objects and some other regions in the Pacificus, and it's the Halo Zone that we've mentioned so often, and this is a little summary. a little more maybe later, and the Veiled region. The Halo Zone is a perilous expanse in the Segmentum Pacificus, located beyond the reach of the Astronomican's guiding light. Navigating this area is fraught with danger as the Imperium's navigators are unable to sense the Astronomican, making warp travel hazardous and time-consuming. Historically, Lord Solar Macarius's crusade halted at the edge of the Halo Zone, with his troops refusing to venture further into the unknown. Cool. And we also got the Veiled region. The Veiled region is an unmapped area in the Segmentum Tempestus, characterized by dense nebula, newborn stars, and heavy stellar dust. This cosmic shroud causes high radiation levels and space-time anomalies, rendering the region nearly impenetrable to Imperial sensors. Despite its forbidden nature, the region is home to various xenos species, including greenskin pirates and Necron inhabitants, and has witnessed sporadic human settlements and conflicts. Yeah, so not much happening in terms of celestial stuff, and all it is more just like, well, you can't really go there. You can't see the light of the Emperor. It's just kind of, just don't go there.
It's just kind of like, what do you do when you get to the edge of the galaxy?
Yeah,
And then there is just nothing for billions of light years.
exactly. Yeah, and that's kind of what this area is. It's like pretty much the edge, not much here, and it's left alone up to chaos quite often. It just gets up to its own shenanigans.
Like, kind of like a typical, oh, we need to save this world. Nah, but the sector needs more troops. Nope, you're being relocated. Bye
Relocate,
bye.
shuffle them around. Now there's heresy here, shuffle them around, heresy over here. Yeah, it's nice.
Lola Mao is the response.
Yeah, well, that's all I had about this Segmentum Pacificus. It wasn't as big as the other ones, even in terms of lore. But man, it spawned a couple episode ideas I'm excited for in the future. Like I said, those fleets, we'll dive into all the different stuff, and there's so much fun fleet stuff. I love naval warfare in 40K and most sci-fis, but um, yeah, let's do a quick like little recap on the segmentums. We'll kind of give you a quick couple thoughts on each one here. Starting with the segmentum solar. It's the heart of the Imperium, the bureaucratic core, the seat of power, and the tone and atmosphere is awe-inspiring but suffocating, ruled by ritual, hierarchy, and ancient order. And its unique quality is the Imperium's spiritual, political, and technological nucleus, where all authority flows. Yeah, it's the heart of the Imperium. The Segmentum Solar. What more needs to be said? You know, Terra's there. We're there right now. Me and you, Gerald.
Mm-hmm. Yes, here we are in the lovely year that is 25 M3.
Yes, it's beautiful. I love it. The Segmentum Ultima is the eastern frontier, and it has military vigilance. Like, there's a lot of just with the Ultramarines, there's a lot of chapters there, and part of that's due to its size, but also just like, there's lots there. The heroic legacy, both Ultramar and Ball, harsh isolation. Like as you go further, it gets dark, and then now with the Great Rift, it gets even darker the further you go. And its unique quality is the Imperium's great frontier, where glory and danger and exploration collide. Yeah, it's the great unknown. There's something that has not been discovered yet. There's always something else. So big area. Yeah, look at that map. It's huge, man. It's like fucking 5 or 6 times the size of the Pacificus, at least.
Mm-hmm. Unless we forget, folks, like the Imperial map is off-centered or centered around Terra. So, like, everything to the east of it, that's pretty much Ultima Segmentum. So,
Yeah, that's a nice galaxy.
mm-hmm.
The next segmentum is the Segmentum Obscurus, and it's a shadowed realm. Um, it's always getting attacked by Terra, or by the Eye of Terror. I mean, in a fallen bastion, like it's just kind of where once it had this great 10,000 year legacy. Now it's kind of over. Now it's really kind of chaos's domain. Industrial hellscapes. We get places like Necromunda and Armageddon there. We get some crazy places like Port Maw. It just seems like, yeah, when chaos is on the doorstep, everyone has ramped up their production. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the unique quality is the Imperium's scarred shield, forever standing against the corruption of chaos. I mentioned Cadia fell, but also, man, everyone around Cadia rallied, and that was kind of a cool story to read about, where they just kind of, Cadia stands, even though the planets exploded, and all these planets are rally behind this call. So that's kind of cool. Like,
Mm-hmm.
even though they're on the back foot, I think they got some momentum going forward.
Well, the stuff I heard about, like, of course, you always hear the famous saying that the planet broke before the guard did. Like, even as it was shattering into pieces, there were still guardsmen fighting to
Fuck
their
yeah.
last breath on the shards of the planet.
As it's floating off into space, yeah, fuck yeah. And then we go down south to the Tempestus, storm-racked expanse, like lots of warp storms and stuff, and just turbulent space. Not as bad as like there's no Eye of Terror or Maelstrom. It just is more hard to navigate, and storms pop up. They called it like micro storms or something. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't the term though, was it?
I don't think.
Pocket
Nah.
storms. Oh man, it had a
Mm-hmm.
cool little term where basically, yeah, pop-up storms would happen in this kind of area of space. And also,
Mm-hmm.
it's the religious center. After the Age of Apostasy, they moved the home down south instead of to the west. So then that creates some kind of dynamics as well, keeping the Imperium kind of doing things. Tone and feel very chaotic, very turbulent. Lots of xenos there, just kind of chaotic there. Like, you can manage it. It's a storm. You can go outside in the storms, but it's a storm there, man.
Mm-hmm.
The unique quality is where devotion and destruction are constant companions. Yeah, it's just turbulent, constantly changing. And the
Mm-hmm.
Segmentum Pacificus, the final one. The Galactic Rim Frontier, remote and sparsely populated. As we kind of mentioned, there's kind of not much here, which kind of makes it even more impressive that Lord Sorler Macarius conquered so many worlds in such a sparse area. But hey, there
More
speaks to
power
his
to him.
motivation. Yeah, more power to him. Fucking put on that
Yeah.
golden breastplate, and I'm on board.
Yeah. Honored be his name. May he rest in peace.
The unique quality is the Imperium's distant horizon, where it's just like they never really got this place, like even in the far side on the Imperium Nihilus, they still have a grip of everything, they're still like in control, but like the Pacificus just kind of
Mhm.
just gets ignored. Yeah, those are nice
The
little recaps.
Imperium the Imperium should learn by now. Don't just ignore stuff, even if it is close to home.
It won't go away, it will fester. You ever get bit by like a cat or raccoon, or and your hand's starting to swell, and day one you're like, it'll go away. Day two you're like, it's getting better. It's not. Day three you're like, yeah, I should go to the hospital. There's a nice white cat. Yeah, so you know this story.
Yep.
You've
This
lived
one
this
this one's
story.
bitten me before. This one has
Yeah.
bitten me before. Yeah, I'm
You
talking
think
about
it's
you.
gonna go away, but it just festers, man. And that's the Imperium, or the Segmentum Pacificus.
Yep.
The two other things I want to do a quick recap on was the Imperium Sanctum and the Nihilist, where it's just the northern and southern halves of the Great Rift. The Imperium Sanctum, the southern half, and that has Terra and the Astronomicon, and the religious orders are on that half, and Reboot Gilliman's on that half, and it's it's got hope on that half. And then you go north to the northern half, and it's cut off, and everyone is just focused on survival now. There's not going to be much
Mm.
art there or progress. It's survival. It's grittier and grimmer. And you kind of get these two very unique imperiums, where you get kind
Hmm.
of the light and the dark.
Absolutely. And I think you had mentioned this before in a previous episode where it kind of gives folks the freedom to write that either that noble bright 40K that things are kind of leaning towards, or you can still stick with the grim darkness that is Warhammer 40,000 and it still work perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. For a while there, I had like another crazy theory of, okay, we need to advance the time 5,000 years. So we have 40K, and that's where I can live in my grim dark shithole. And 45K can be the grim bright. But no, I like this distinction more. Where like, yeah, if you want some happiness, go south. You might feel the emperor's warm light touching, caressing your wife. But if you want to be a cowboy, you go up north and you go have some fun up there. Get up to all types of whatever. No one's gonna stop you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, what an episode! Like, I learned a lot about all these segmentums. It was fun doing the gerrymandering for sure. I still feel like GW needs to get a hold of that kind of breakdown a little bit, break the galaxy a little
Mm-hmm.
more.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah. Did you have a favorite like segmentum fortress or anything that we learned about?
Hmm. I was kind of partial to the Cipramundi, I think it was.
Mm,
Cipramundi and Carduniash in the Ultima segmentum.
yeah,
I don't know, something about those spoke to me.
just big rings of adamantium surrounding the planets, pumping out ships, man. Just classic. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
some great pictures. Like, yeah, there's like Port Maw where it's a planet that's almost like hollowed out. Like it looks like a Pac-Man planet. And like it's
When
almost
when now
like
I gotta when now I gotta look it up. So
yeah, Port
can't.
Maw.
Oh, here it is. Let me
Where like it's
present.
cool, but it's almost like it's a stretch for my imagination. Just the right amount. Like I allow it and I like it, but
Yep, there it is.
oh yeah. But there's something more like just classic and iconic about that Ring of Iron vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Cool place.
here's the one. Yeah, the Ring of Iron on Mars.
Yeah, man. Yeah, cool. Well, what
So.
what a knowledge dump. Up next we're dropping some Wog PGs. We did a nice little RPG, me, you, Court, and Logan,
Mm-hmm.
and those are going to be up next. And after that, we're recording First Menace, the Lord of Iron, the Lord of Air, as some people call him, because we'll get there. We'll
Yeah,
get there.
I always heard he had a good head on his shoulders. So.
Always heard, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, and I can't wait for all the jokes. Some of them are classic. I love 40K. It's like the people like they've been telling the same jokes for 25 years. It's like
And it's still funny.
I
Deal
still
with
like
it.
it. Deal with it. If you don't like it, get out of here. Go play Battlefleet or something. Fuck. All
Mm-hmm.
right, everyone. Great episode. We'll see you all on the next episode and have a good one. Adios.
Bye bye.